Hey, welcome back to Sales Made Easy. This is Tom at Sales Made Easy, where our job is to make your life a little bit easier. And today, we've spent a lot of time on sales, different things we can do, get our head right, techniques on how we're doing things. But I really want to spend today on sales management. I think too often we're always trying to get our salespeople new techniques. We're always working on, if I could get them this to help them. But in reality, it is the sales manager that makes or break a salesperson. I truly believe everybody that comes to work for you wants to succeed. If that wasn't true, well, first you got a terrible hiring process. But in reality, I think everybody would like to be successful, unless we're just hiring the wrong people. So take that for granted. You've got somebody that wants to be successful. Even if they know nothing about sales, what are we doing as a manager to help them? It's not that hire someone, here's the job, I'll yell at you if you're doing it wrong. That's the leave alone zap method. Just leave them alone until you've had enough of them. Then you come in and smack them upside the head and go, you're wrong, right? Good for morale. Or worse than that, we have people that are working hard, but we're not lending the time to give them to help them. So if you're a manager, what I'd like you to start doing is really tracking, hold yourself accountable to what you're doing for your salespeople. We talk about accountability for our salespeople. How are you accountable? Who's holding you accountable? Not to the number, but who's holding you accountable to doing the right thing? If you think about it, you were hired to grow sales. And when I was a young sales manager, I was a great salesperson and I was hired to grow sales and promoted, to become a sales manager. And so what I did was I helped close business because it was bottom line. And if I had a failing salesperson, I'd give them leads. I'd go help them prospect. Or I'd go, when they had an account, I'd go help them close business. And I was growing the business, but I was exhausted. I was doing all the work. And so number one, you got to grow your business. But number two, if you do not grow your people, you cannot grow your business for any length of time. You'll just get burned out. And you're not getting paid as much as you probably were when you were a salesperson. So working 100 hours a week, trying to close everything with all your salespeople doesn't work. So the first thing you have to do is grow your salespeople. But to be quite honest with you, in order to grow your salespeople, you have to grow yourself. So I got to ask a question. What are you doing to grow? I have a lot of, we do all the sales training and my problem with a lot of companies is I will train your sales managers first before I train your salespeople. I will work with your sales managers and put some process in place before I do anything with your salespeople. Why? Well, I have found that if I do training for your salespeople and the management team doesn't know what to do with that training, the training falls apart. It doesn't work. It's like going out to the driving range and having a driving coach come with you and tell you how to hit the ball. And then that coach leaves and you never practice what he taught you or she taught you. And you just go to play golf. And you get mad because it's not working. Well, if you didn't practice it, it's not going to work. So as a sales manager, what does your daily cookbook look like? How many times have you asked your salesperson, what's your next step? That's the beauty of when I was a young salesperson, I had a manager that gave me a list of 10 questions. And that manager said, here's your 10 questions. And I go, what am I going to do with this? He goes, every time I talk to you about an account, I'm going to ask you those 10 questions. I might ask you 50 more questions, but I will definitely be asking you those 10 questions. And he was true to the word. He held himself accountable to making sure as a young salesperson, every time he talked to me, he said, tell me about a meeting you had. And I'd tell him and he'd ask those questions. And that is what taught me, not some manager hugging me or holding me or patting me on the back and saying, good sale. The one that truly grew me and made me 10 times better was that manager that at the end of every day said, tell me about an account. What about this? What about that? And he asked me the same question. So guess what? Through that behavior that he held himself accountable to, he made me accountable. Because now when I met with somebody and I'd leave, I knew, he's going to ask me that question. So I'd turn around and say, hey, before I leave, can I ask you this question? Because I knew my boss was going to ask me. My boss didn't say, here's some tips. Goodbye. I'll see you later. My boss reinforced what he believed was going to make me successful. So if you're a sales leader, what's your cookbook look like? By the way, if you don't know what a cookbook is a recipe book for success. What's your recipe for success for each salesperson? And are you tracking it? And do you know what's going on? So the one thing I would do with each one of what every time you talk to a salesperson with your cookbook. Find those 5-10 questions and hold yourself accountable to meeting with your salesperson at the end of every week and asking them about an account he went on or she went on, and ask them those 5 or 10 questions you have in your industry. So, sales manager, before you hold your salespeople accountable, hold yourself accountable to growth. If number one, you're not growing yourself, you cannot grow your people. And if you're not growing your people, you cannot grow your business. You will fail. You will be burnt out and a mess. So grow yourself. Get yourself a sales coach. Get yourself a sales leadership coach to help you grow. All right, that's it. Just remember, if you want your salespeople to get better, you have to get better. See you next time.